Okay. So, hold that one. I swear I changed this better. Okay, again, welcome to the 10th anniversary of the West DFW REI Group. Appreciate you all coming. Thanks for the little photo op there. You'll see those pictures get posted later. And hopefully nobody was, sticking anybody's finger in their ears and stuff. So you did that? That's so today is quite a bit different than our normal day in that the sequence of events and how we're doing things. Today, not only are we having the 10th anniversary, but I want to say thank you to of course, all of you for coming, all of you that have been with us all this time and helping us grow the group. But I also want to thank the sponsors and their support over the years to the group and to all the membership, because it's helped a lot of you, and quite honestly, a lot of you I think would have trouble or could have trouble if you just try and go find somebody out there on your own. You see it all the time on the news about contractors ripping people off and stuff, so coming to events like this, meeting people, find out who you can trust and who you can't, but using these sponsors, these trusted sponsors, I think is an important part of your business and to help you be more successful and profitable. Does that make sense? So these are people you can trust. And for those of you who've been around a while, you hear me say I use my grandmother rule when it comes to picking the sponsors. If you can feel comfortable about sending your grandmother to a contractor and then you sleep at night afterwards, then they're probably an okay contractor to use, okay? And okay for us as a group to use them as well. So we're selective in who we use. We're selective who comes on board as sponsors. And for those that don't keep up with that and take care of the membership, then they don't stay very long, okay? So part of that support today and thanks is I want to focus on sponsors today. So we're going to do a question and answer session, a get to know you kind of thing, and we're going to have the sponsors all come up here, so if you would all come on up. I don't know if you want to sit down or stand up. We can bring chairs. That's up to you, always up to you. But what we want to do is introduce all the sponsors to you, and then we're just going to do a quick, we just want to do a quick 30-second introduction to start with of who they are, so you get the names, and then, huh? How long are we going to be under? As long as, okay. As long as you get your, let's face it. So, if you want take turns to sit, you can. Birthday girl. So you're welcome to sit or stand. I don't care what you do. Yeah, I think this is a long term. I think it could be, because I know everybody studied all night, right? Wrote down your questions for the sponsors. So we have a lot of questions. How you doing, Bernard?
Not yet. I'm waiting until they all get one. Yes. Well, we're going to have to relocate.
We're going to have to focus in on the ones that are talking.
Yes.
So, okay, so again, just want to do a quick 30-second introduction of who you are, what your business is, and then we'll go from everybody that way, and then we'll start taking questions from the audience. If I don't hear questions, or if I have some others that I want to interject that I think are important for the membership, then I'll ask those too. So let's start on this end. We do Martin.
Martin Garcia, simplified title, different name. First time saying simplified in this group about 6 weeks ago. Business partner of mine and I left our old outfit to run this company. So our motto is closing and investing simplified. Been closing with Tim for about 10 years, and a lot of people in this group too. So glad to be a sponsor, glad to be here.
Thank you.
Hey guys, Dusty Arnold with Hudgens Contractors Roofing Solutions. We're locally owned and operated, family operated. We do business all over DFW area. We're here to help everyone in the REI group and just help you out, be your roofing contractor. That's me.
Thanks, sir. Rodney?
Rodney Rush with Real Estate IQ. We're the #1 deal finding software in Texas and branching out across the United States, and we're coming up with our commercial investment tools soon.
You notice on the back of the shirt, Real Estate IQ, #1 deal finding?
Hi, I'm Michelle with Burdick Insurance. We are specialists in insurance for investors and rental property owners. We've been doing this for about 10, 12 years or so. We know all the ins and outs of every type of real estate transaction that you might run into or that you might want to get involved with, even if you want to do a subject to or something like that. It's been the basis of our business for a long time, and we love working with our investors. We love being a sponsor here, so if you have any questions about anything, even if you're not a customer of ours, you just have a question about insurance for your properties, feel free to give us a call. We're here to help. So we're with Burdick Insurance.
So we'll get to the questions in a few minutes. Just a reminder, 30 seconds or so, so we can get back to the actual questions.
Right. My name is Ryan. I work with Longhorn Investments. We're a private money, hard money lender. We lend up to 100% of purchase and rehab, up to 75% of the ARV. And then also I have taken a crash course this year in Airbnb running, so if you guys have any questions about that, I know some about it.
Cool.
My name's Amy Sayer. I'm with August REI. We do loan servicing. We report to Equifax for credit, and we have the ability to place force-placed insurance if borrowers cancel it.
I'm Jason Coyle, owner of Rehab Kings LLC. We're a investor exclusive contractor, meaning we don't do any kind of retail remodel work with homeowners, only REI exclusively.
Thank you.
I'm Ruth Ann Dunham with Service First Mortgage, and I've been doing this 26 years. I'm a traditional lender. We do have a lot of creative products, but mostly investors use me to refi out the people that you either owner financed or leased to or whatever. I help them with their credit so that I can get them a loan and get you paid off.
Robin Jackson with Bearcat Capital, and our focus is buying and selling real estate notes. And we're here to help you if you're trying to create a note, maybe what we would look for if you decide down the road you might want to sell. We're not attorneys. We'll turn that over to the legal department. And but if you have any questions, we'd like to help you out.
My name is Oscar. I work with Texas Bank Mortgage. We're also a traditional lender, also a portfolio lender, where we actually do loans for customers. Our main focus on the portfolio side is those loans that don't fit your square peg, customers that don't have social security numbers but they work with I-10, and customers that may have, low tax returns on self-employed, but we are able to possibly get them in with bank statements or creative financing to do some of those loans as well.
Hi, I'm Bethany Sanchez, and I own Sanchez Foundation Repair. We work mainly with investors. We do work with homeowners, but investors, there is a different way. If you ever have us out to do an estimate, I kind of need to know if you're an investor. We have different investor pricing than homeowner pricing, so it's always something you want to mention on the phone. We also install French drains, because here soon we'll be right back in the rainy season again, which is one of the top things that causes y'all to have foundation repair problems. We also own a landscaping company and a roofing company, so we do a little bit of everything. And I'm Bethany with Sanchez Foundation Repair.
I'm John with IOS Air Conditioning and Heating, and a quick fact is a lot of people think my last name is IOS, but it's not. IOS is actually from the Philippine language, which is where my wife is from, and it means fix. So our name is Fix Air, about as simple as it gets. But it was a short, sweet kind of name when we chose that. Air conditioning is a science, and so it's not as simple as fixing air. It takes a good understanding of that, and I believe I bring that to the table.
So can we give a round of applause to welcome the two new sponsors, John with IOS Air and Bethany with Sanchez. They're our two newest sponsors to the group, so be sure you reach out to them and introduce yourself and find out how they can help you in your business, and maybe take them a lunch, buy some coffee or something and sit down and talk business. So, okay, so I'm gonna open it up to the members. Who's got the first question for any one of the sponsors? Yes, sir.
I don't know what a real estate note is.
Oh, well, it's a mortgage. If you're just like when you're buying a house, you got to have a note. There's a lien on your house, and that's a note. So if an example might be you have a house to sell and you offer owner financing, and down the road, so you're the bank for the buyer. So down the road, you might want to sell that note because you don't want to wait 20 or 30 years for your money. So we would come in and make you an offer and buy the note, and then we're the bank.
Okay. Next.
I've got one.
Okay.
Okay, so currently for my tenants, one of the things that I do, not only as a selling point to rent the property, but as a service to the tenant, I use a company called Clear Now to collect their rents. So I'm not chasing checks, and it's a priority for them to pay their rent. The reason I'm with this company is that tenant has an option to opt in to have their on-time rent payments report to the credit bureau, and that helps them hopefully a couple years down the road to be able to buy their own home. That's the only company I know that does that. However, as my business is growing and scaling, I'm having to put more systems in place, and one option that I'm looking at right now is Tenant Cloud, and it does a lot of things, and it collects the rents, markets your properties, lets you not manage your contractors, but have them all in one place, and tenants send in maintenance requests, and I just send it to them. It just automates a lot of things, but it doesn't have the option for the tenant to build their credit. I think you said that you report to Equifax.
No.
You said that.
Yeah.
Is that something that you might be able to help me with?
We don't report for rentals because we don't service rentals. We just do mortgage loans, owner finance.
Do you know anybody that does that? Because I've looked at doing it myself, but it seems very cumbersome, and I just don't have the time.
It's very cumbersome, and it takes a lot of work.
I'm not sure why Clear Now does it. They're the only one that does it, and it seems like other companies, if they did that, would be a selling point again.
You might check with MrLandlord.com. They have a lot of services. They've been around a long time.
MrLandlord.com?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know that they do, but you might check with them. I'd be surprised if they didn't, just because they have such a big organization.
Do they do all the systems as well for the things that I was talking about?
They have a ton of different things. That's their whole business is landlord.
Okay, thank you.
So, next. Come on now, somebody's got questions. Questions about rehabbing, roofing.
Yeah, an AC question. When someone has a house and they convert the garage without also upgrading the AC, what does that do?
Well, if the AC system was designed properly, it was fitted to the house originally. So by adding a larger area to it, usually about 400 square feet, you reduce the airflow and you actually lower the efficiency of the system quite a bit. So a lot of people put ducts, extra ducts, and you'll hear a lot of AC companies say, oh, you have low airflow in that room, let's just add a duct. And that's not the solution. The solution is to go back and do an engineered heat load of the house, which is basically measuring it and calculating it from the outside and the inside. And then each room becomes its own heat load itself. And so you take the total, which is the house, and you divide that up by room, and it tells you how much airflow each room should get based on how the house is built, based on how you live, you know, things like that. So, but yes, you end up lowering the efficiency of the system quite a bit. You take air from somewhere else, and oftentimes you can break the system over a much shorter period of time.
And it's less efficient.
And it's way less efficient. Like comfort-wise, comfort goes away at that point also.
Okay. Thank you.
Next. Okay, so question for the sponsors. What kind of mistakes have you seen investors making on those deals? What, just if there was one mistake that you see the most often that maybe people are missing, somehow they're missing it, whatever, what would it be? I mean, I'm sure you've all seen mistakes, so we'll start with John.
Not knowing the age of the air conditioning system. That's the biggest mistake that I see homeowners or anybody at all when they buy in a new home. Because most people, I don't care who you ask, how old is your AC? Oh, it's probably about 4 or 5 years old, you know, maybe 6, you know, and it's 12 or 15. You know, I hear that all the time. And so there are resources available which I can get together and give. For not every brand has it, but most do, where you can look up the age of the equipment just by going to the outdoor unit and looking at the serial number or the model number information and knowing how old that is. Because that's, if it's close to 10, it's already time to consider changing it, you know. I mean, it doesn't mean it has to be, but most modern systems average 10 to 12 years of life. And the efficiency changes all the time. It's getting better. The government regulates the efficiency to get better. Like in this region, the minimum that we can install is a 14 SEER system as far as energy rating usage. So not knowing that, you know, how old, I mean, I've had people with 20-year-old systems. They still look good. You know, they were washed, they were taken care of. But it was 20 years old, and it's like you've got to replace this immediately.
So John, for all the new folks in the room, what's about to happen in the heat and air conditioning world?
Well, at the end of this year, the government has mandated, and this started back at the end of 2008. So January 2009, the government said manufacturers could no longer produce systems with R22 in it. They didn't ban R22 at the time, and everybody was freaking out because, oh my goodness, we can't get equipment with R22. Well, manufacturers got around that by producing empty systems, because there was plenty of systems between that time where just a condenser could be replaced, things like that. And over the past 5 years, that has gone away. They can no longer produce systems that operate with R22. And at the end of this year, R22 production is going away. So in the United States, we won't be able to import it. Nobody will be able to produce it. It'll be the 410A is the standard across the board at this point. So R22 prices are going to skyrocket as far as repair. So the older a system is, the more chance it has R22. You can still find 14, 15-year-old units that have 410A in it. But that's not very common. Most of the older ones are going to have R22 in them. And if they have a leak or something like that, you're going to go from, like right now, the average price for R22 is about $100 a pound across the board. But it's going to go to $200, $300, $400 a pound to service it. So if you have a 2-pound leak that might, you know, a few years ago might have been $150 to repair, might be $800.
So do you think that's important when you're out looking at fixer-uppers and you see that AC unit that maybe isn't even working? I looked at one yesterday, it's got 2 dead units on it.
Now, one
I
thing,
haven't talked to him yet, but there's no way I'd want to go repair those.
One thing I did recently for somebody, and it was actually kind of a unique scenario, but it was a 14-year-old unit. The indoor air handler was in immaculate condition. These people lived at this house like 2 months a year, but the indoor air handler is immaculate. The outside is kind of old and worn. But the coil, we were able to leave the air handler in place and just replace the coil because the manufacturer still made that exact same size coil and changed the outdoor condenser instead of all the system. So it saved them quite a bit of money by going that route rather than just upgrading the whole system all at once. Because the air handler and all that was like new. I mean, it looked really, really good.
But that's not going to be the norm.
It's not going to be normal, no.
So as we get closer to the end of the year, you know, things are going to start getting really expensive, and you might want to consider in your rehab estimates the cost of replacing that unit. You can talk to John about that. That's what he's here for. You can get an estimate, but that's, you know, that's something you might want to consider if you're brand new in this business and wasn't aware of that. That could be a big impact to your rehab budget if you go to rehab it and find out you can't get parts and have to go do a replacement. So,
yes, are these new units going to be expensive?
Well, equipment is going up. About every 6 months, prices keep rising. Every time you hear about a trade war situation, the cost goes up. They're jumping, okay? But there are, and I don't sell by brand. I don't offer really, I mean, I can get whatever brand that anybody wants, but I don't sell by brand. I like to sell by quality and warranty. And one of the best systems out there is also one of the cheapest right now because it's a simple system. It's made by Linux, but sold under other names. It's very simple, and it has a 12-year parts warranty, which is, you know, once it's registered. So it's an excellent product, but it's one of the cheaper ones out there. And people are really surprised when I tell them about that. So you can go, if you're thinking of a name brand, you're going to pay more for it. It's just that simple.
okay. So if you have questions like that as far as estimates go, just go see John and let him give you an estimate on it. So, Bethany, sorry.
Okay, so I know he said pick one thing, but then most of you are new investors, and as they were talking, like these other things popped into my head. So I answer the phone all the time, and people always say, oh, I didn't want to call you because foundation is going to be the most expensive thing. I'm actually not that bad of a person. Now, I don't know why people are scared of foundation, but they're not. Tiles, roofs, plumbing, guess what, guys? Foundation is no more than any of those other people. So some of the things that don't trust foundation companies. I mean, call me, I'll come out and give you an estimate, but don't trust foundation companies. If you call 3 foundation companies come out, they're all going to measure with the same machine, the zip level. But no matter if they start at here or here, that makes a difference. So you're going to have 3 different estimates no matter what. Very rarely are you going to have 2 companies that agree upon something. Start with an engineer. You can Google engineers. If you need an engineer, I like Rocket Engineering because he is probably the younger of the engineers, freshly out of school, very open-minded. If he's told, you know what, I have a budget and I don't feel like I need to repair this, can I get away with it? He will let you know, can you? Some of the older engineers just don't even care much anymore. They just call the foundation company and say, go look at it and tell us what you think. Get an engineer. Make sure the engineer is an independent engineer, doesn't work for a company, because then we have to do what an engineer says. So if an engineer says you need 10 piers and we think you need 20, we can recommend that 20, but we have to do what he says. No less than what he says. So that keeps the foundation companies more honest because they can't overpeer you. They can't charge you for 20 piers when they only need 10 because the engineer is going to determine it. So if you're not sure about foundation repair, start with the engineer. Garage conversions, because you say garage conversions. Garage conversions are not, well, I don't know why they exist. Garages are garages, do not convert them in homes. If you get one, well, chances are you're going to have problems with it later. Foundation companies, half the time, cannot fix a garage. For one, they're not tied in correctly. 2, they don't have rebar, they're not as thick. Most people float the floor. Garages were also built originally to have a slope for spillage. Garage conversions are dumb. If you already have one, great for you. If you buy a house with a garage, do not convert it. Don't convert it, guys. Just go ahead and build it out back because you think you're saving money converting that existing garage. Guess what? After you fix the foundation on it, you won't be saving it. You should have just built you a new addition in the back to begin with.
And I know, by the way, gotcha kind of thing that does happen is some places require permits. And people go and close a garage and get away with it. They do it in the middle of the night so nobody sees them, they think. And then when you go to buy it, you find out there's no permit, and now you got to deal with the city.
Sometimes you got to tear it back out, guys. Sometimes you got to tear it back out and make people go to the garage.
It's a question you need to be investigating up front.
There's one other little gotcha. Some cities require that you have, if you've got a 1-car, 2-car garage, you have to have 2 parking places And, you know, you may have to put up a carport, or you may have to add a garage, or there's, you know, there's different codes in different cities around town.
That's interesting, I didn't realize that.
But definitely keep in mind when you're gonna convert that garage, if it's not already there, go ahead and call a couple contractors and ask them how much it is to build an addition onto the back, because in the long run, you're gonna wish you'd built that addition in the back in the first place. Disclose.
One more.
Okay. But disclose, guys. New investors don't disclose the foundation repair. I've seen them sue and lose a lot of money and cheap. Guess what, guys? Yeah, cheap sounds great. I hear this all the time. Well, this other person's gonna do it half the cost of you. Guess what I'm doing a whole lot of lately? I am going back and repairing other companies, and I get in the ground and I'm looking for the pier. Sometimes I can re-push the pier. I'm looking and I'm looking and I'm looking. The pier don't even exist. Like, they're even breaking the concrete, taking the time to break the concrete, move the dirt around, lay the concrete back down, and I'm out there like a dodo looking for the pier so I can re-push them and help out the homeowners, and the stuff's never there. Well, it doesn't exist. Minimum standard is if somebody's trying to sell you a pier for under $200, you better start checking their reviews, and you better start asking to call at least 3 of their previous customers, because most anybody in the business cannot install a pier for under $200. You can if you have a very small crew and you don't have big insurance, big building overhead. But if it's under $200, you need to start asking. Don't just read reviews. Everybody loves a good review, because guess what? I could ask all y'all to leave me a nice review right now. But hey, I want to talk to 3 of your previous customers. Whip out your cell phone and write down the first 3 you come up to in your cell phone. Any company should be able to do that.
How many of you walked into a house that was supposedly rehabbed and you're rolling, you know, they never did foundation repair? Man, it drives me crazy. I don't know why people do that. I was in one 2 weeks ago in Weatherford. A guy says, yeah, we just put new hardwood floors in this house a year ago. And I'm saying, really? I mean, it's like this throughout the kitchen. It just, I couldn't believe it, you know? But anyhow, to me, it makes all the sense in the world to start with a solid base, right? Level a house and go from there.
And do your foundation first, guys. That is your first thing. Don't do your tile on your roof, because guess what? I'm going to crack your tile and I'm going to pop your roof. Yep. Do your foundation first and call everybody else in.
Okay. Oscar.
I don't know how to answer that question. I mean, basically the one thing from lending perspective, you're going to have many lenders to do either your hard money lenders to purchase the property and make the repairs. Just find the right person, the right connection with your loan officer to do those kind of things, and then just have at least a couple of options for those people that are looking at buying the property and flipping it. And obviously get together with these guys, because these are the guys that we all trust, because we know who they are. So just as much as people look at doing it, you know, bottom line, cheaper, whatever the case, you're gonna end up paying in the long run eventually. So why not use the people that we all trust and y'all should trust?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Robert?
Gosh, I can think of a lot of things. I think one of the things, I know. I think one of the things that I see a lot is the new investor is sitting around waiting for the perfect deal, and you're going to have to pull the trigger and do something. And this is the best group to ask them. We've got a huge number of different specialties and everything in the group, so don't be afraid to pick up the phone or send an email and say, hey, I just got a quick question, can I bounce this off of you? And you know, but do something. Don't just sit here and in 6 months come back and you still haven't made that first offer or whatever.
And if you're having trouble finding that person you need guidance from, ask one of us. If we don't have them as a sponsor, or you don't know a member with that background, ask one of us. I'm sure somebody in here can find you the person you need to talk to. Ruth Ann?
I'm gonna steal this from you. Tim's always saying have an exit strategy. You always have to have an exit strategy. So even if you're going to keep a house and you get a tenant in it, or you own and finance it for them, you don't want to keep that forever. You may right now think you do, but just like you know, you might want to sell a note. You might want to cash out of that house. So make sure that you have somebody pull their credit, somebody like me that's a traditional lender, and see what kind of plan, how many years it's going to take them to get out of where they are, or if they just never pay anybody. You know, they're going to need a year to get ready. if they've signed a year lease or whatever. But work with a lender who will pull their credit, put them on a plan, you know, get them where they need to be to get you out if you need to. And one of the things that I do that's a little different is that I get access to all of the grant programs for them. So if they can't save, you know, a lot of people will pay you $2,000 a month and they can't save a nickel for a down payment to ever get you out. So I have $20,000 in Fort Worth for first-time buyers. First time in the last 3 years to have owned a home can get 20 in Fort Worth, 20 in Arlington, 50 in Irving. I just met with Denton, and they have actually $49.9 in Denton for different things. Dallas has money, Grand Prairie has money, and then I have state money. If they make over 80% median, can't get those funds, I have state money that they can make a lot of money and still get 3 or 4 or 5% of the loan amount for a down payment or closing costs.
Cool. When you say those numbers, are you talking thousands? It's badass. I just want to be sure.
So, you know, again, I recommend, you know, reach out to each one of the sponsors and go sit down and have more detailed discussion about it, you know. I want to make sure we cover everybody as much as we can, but go meet with them and sit down and go through more details about what they can do for you and the kind of help that you need. So, I don't want to cut anybody off with that, but I want to make sure we cover as much as we can today. Jason?
I don't think that's a one-answer question. But I would say right now, probably due diligence in the front side, patience is really key. Anybody in this room buying properties right now knows these houses literally last hours and sometimes minutes. I mean, so you don't get a lot of time anymore to look up your comps and, you know, build a good construction strategy based on what you've seen in the comps, how many days on market, where those comps, yada yada. So even though you don't have that much time, it's better to be patient, wait until you do have one where you get a little bit of time, so that you have all your numbers in place, especially first-time investors. They just want to get in something, and they just take whatever the wholesale company package sends them and just believe it and, you know, just pull the trigger because they want to be part of this business.
What are you saying, Jason? It's not true?
Almost never. I mean, their goal is to just sell property. They don't really care about your success. Tim knows. I turn people away from properties far more often than I say, oh yeah, this is the one, do this one. I always try to be really realistic about the costs. So I do a lot of pre-acquisition work. I mean, I didn't say that earlier, but a lot of the time that I spend in the field is working with investors, vetting these deals, making sure that the numbers are honest and that they're not just giving you a sales pitch to, you know, get their $5,000 assignment fee. So probably patience, I think, is the biggest mistake. People are just so eager to get involved in this. There's too much TV. Don't believe that stuff you see on TV. It's not real at all. I turned down 3 different TV show offers because of that reason last year.
So the other piece of what Jason's talking about with patience is speed and efficiency of your job of doing the analysis and determining if there's a deal there, right? It's not just the patience. You don't want to jump into it, but you also want to be good at what you're doing. So to that end, next month, we're going to talk about tools of the trade, and we're going to be talking about different tools and how to pull comps and what tools to use for pulling comps and doing your analysis to help you become a little faster and more efficient at that. So along with the patience, you still have to know what you're doing in your analysis. So we're going to talk about that next month. Amy?
I had a couple, but I'm going to make them really fast. The first one is if your borrower doesn't come into closing with enough money to close, don't make it a second and a third lien, because if they don't have the money then, they're not going to have it 60 days later when they moved into the house. A next one would be if you're wrapping a mortgage, a PMI and an MIP on a mortgage, which shows on the escrow side, is not passable onto a buyer. It is a lender expense, so when you're calculating your profit, the difference between their P&I and your P&I needs to include the MIP and the PMI. And the other one is you can't just take the insurance policy that was there and add them on as an additionally insured. They need to be the insured, and because they're going to be on title, and you don't want to make a reason to not have a claim get paid out.
We talked a lot about that last Saturday. Dave Burdick came to my Subject 2 workshop and talked about the insurance side of the business, so very important. Brian?
So kind of what Tim was just talking about, running your comps. Right now what I've seen is a lot of new investors will get comps and they'll have an agent say, oh yeah, you could totally sell this for $320,000. Just because you can justify it doesn't mean that should be your list price. You can sit on the market a long time trying to get that pie in the sky number. Be realistic. You guys are investors. You want to get that house sold as quick as possible to get out from either hard money or get your cash working on the next project. So make sure you have a really good, realistic idea on what that sales price is, because if you start too high, you're going to be sitting on the market for a while and it's going to be stale and you're actually going to end up probably making less than if you would have just priced it right to begin with.
And an agent doesn't necessarily pull comps the same way you pull comps. So that could have a huge impact in what you list that house for, which is the real part is. So just keep that in mind. You need to, this goes back to what I just said, you need to understand how to do your own comps and how to read what you generate. It's not just a matter of going and pulling the comps, but what does it really mean?
And along with that too, like whenever I pull comps, I'll pull comps for people all day, but I always tell them, get someone else to pull them. And it kind of goes down to everything as a new investor. Everything you hear, all the information you get from us up here, that's okay. You can trust us, but still verify. And that's kind of the rule I always go by is trust, but verify. Go and do your own due diligence and verify everything you're hearing. Everything we've set up here, yeah, we know a lot. We've been doing this for a while, but still go ahead and verify it with a second source. That's going to be your best tool to success.
We're going to get into that next month in detail, so you'll want to be ready.
I would say one of the things that I see the most is, Ryan and I just had a situation the other day. People wait till after the last minute to do their insurance. So that means that all they want to do is they just want a binder to get to closing. Okay, so that's fine, but you don't, I mean, if you have a claim and it's not covered, you're not going to be happy, you know what I'm saying? So don't wait till the last minute to deal with your insurance. Get, have someone that, if you have a house deal going and it's, you have a closing date set, don't wait till the day of the closing to go get your insurance.
She's talking about somebody who on the 31st was literally texting me from the airplane because she paid for the internet service, telling me, oh, can you help me get insurance at 11 a.m. for a 3 p.m. closing? But Michelle did it, and we were able to still close. But yeah.
Yeah, and that's cool, and I'm happy that we were able to help you. But there may be times when there may be something on our end that maybe we aren't able to do that. Sometimes, a company's system is down, or something's, there's just all manner of, of things that could go wrong. So it's just like, and then the other thing I would say is, don't ignore your insurance. Like people, I know insurance is boring and nobody wants to think about it, right? It's insurance, but it's very important. If you have a claim and it's not covered, then you're going to be really upset, that you. So I would say make sure that you take some time to, ask questions about your coverage. We as agents try to, inform our customers of all the options and let them know things ahead of time, but it's very helpful for us to have those conversations before there's a claim instead, because after the claims happen, that's it's too late then, so.
And I would say as an insurance adjuster myself, unless some people in this room might be far enough along and have enough properties, that it's not an issue, but unless you can afford to replace a house completely out of your pocket if it burns to the ground, you need to have a replacement cost policy. Don't go with the cheap actual cash value policy, because it happens. I mean, it's rare, but if your house burned down, it's a 50-year-old house, they're only going to pay for half that house and your deductible. Do you have $150,000 to pull out of your pocket?
There are certain times where a lot of our investors may want to just take the settlement and go on and buy another house. You know, a lot of investors don't want to actually rebuild the house. So this is where you need to have those conversations with your agent, or give us a call. We're happy to, even if you're not a customer of ours, we're happy to talk you through these things, because that's something that should be tailored to the person in their specific situation. That's because there's a lot of different ways to do things. So.
This is not a 5-minute discussion.
No.
So
right.
You need to go sit down and talk and have a discussion about the things you need to consider. Like they said, don't wait until 30 minutes before closing, because you may put the wrong policy on that house just out of pure sense of urgency in closing. You don't want to delay your closing, but you want to make sure you get the right coverage on that house.
And the other thing that I want to bring up is liability coverage. Make sure that you have adequate liability coverage for to protect you in case there's, because if there's some sort of a lawsuit or something like that, that can wipe you out. And liability coverage is cheap in relevance to the amount of coverage that you can purchase. It's one of the cheapest ways to spend your insurance dollars, and it's definitely, you know, worth the extra money. If you have multiple properties, I would suggest getting an umbrella policy over and above your underlying coverage, just to protect your assets in the case of some sort of a lawsuit or something like that. And again, those policies are very inexpensive.
Moving on.
Mine had to do similar with comps and things like that. I see a lot of investors that don't estimate properly for the repairs and for the comps and for the sale price. I've seen a number of houses that I've gone to look at it, because I'm also an investor, where there's rough-in of the plumbing, rough-in of electrical, the outside is all redone really nice, and it's in foreclosure. And that just tells me that they overpaid for the property, they underestimated for the repairs. And that's a big one. Yeah. And it's frustrating for people who are doing their due diligence, because they keep missing the deals because an inexperienced person comes in and overpays for it, and then, but maybe you'll get it on the back.
And you don't want to see that happen.
No. And don't use Zillow for your comps.
Yeah. Dustin?
I'd say if you're rehabbing homes or whatever, have someone come out pre-acquisition and inspect the roof, because your roofing cost is going to be one of your biggest costs when it comes to rehabbing, I would say. And then for people that have tenants or renting houses, have someone get eyes on the roof, whether it be trees dragging across the roof in the wind or valleys filling up with leaves. Just have someone do their due diligence, call us out, and we'll check it out for you.
Cool.
Are there going to be changes for insuring roofs? I've heard that maybe after 10, 12 years old, it's going to be hard to get.
Depends on the company.
Oh, it does, okay.
We just went and looked at a house that, anyway, in Dallas, got hit by the tornado, the whole neighborhood. Is there a special tornado insurance? Because this one, somebody was trying to say.
Tornado is wind and hail, and that is a basic peril that's included in any insurance policy, unless it's a fire-only policy, which you would have to ask for that. I mean, any reputable agent would never sell you just a fire-only policy. So, but that's one of the named basic perils of wind and hail, tornado, and so it's going to have a separate deductible which typically is 1% of the dwelling coverage. So if the dwelling is covered for $100,000, it would be $1,000. Some companies, several actually now have a 2% wind hail, so that would be a $2,000 deductible on a $100,000 house. Any other peril is going to have a different deductible. So it just depends on the company and the policy. So again, these are things you need to ask your agent.
Is there anything that investors need to, any special concerns they need to look out for on tornado damaged houses? Knowing that, you know, most people have insurance, not everybody, but is there anything in particular they need to pay attention to from a insurance perspective?
I guess, ask your question again. I'm trying.
Is there anything
the investor
special?
going in to buy
Yeah,
it?
somebody looking at buying that tornado damaged house, is there anything from an insurance perspective?
Well, they'll likely need a builder's risk insurance policy. They couldn't get just like a regular, you know, vacant policy or something. If it's that damaged, it has to be totally rebuilt. You would need a builder's risk, just like a burnout. You know, if you went and bought a burnout, you would get a builder's risk insurance policy, which is a little different, but it's.
Okay, that's what I was looking for.
Tim, let me ask you a question about tornadoes. Because I was standing at home measuring it the other day and it was over in Tornado, in Valley. Yeah, I'm trying to think when I was thinking God. And the 3 investors that were looking, because it was a group of homes. And they started the conversation about, well, should we be taking on homes? I mean, we need to be in and out in a hurry, so does every investor. Is this, and they were calling other people, asking other people their opinion. Is it a good idea to buy these homes over here in Tornado Alley right now? Because is it going to be in and out? Is it going to drop property values? I mean,
I think it's going to depend on the investor and what they're interested in, what your business model is. How bad is it? What's the rehab? What's the percent of repairs you're putting into it compared to the ARV? I mean, there's a lot of risk, in my opinion. Or do you just scrape it and start from scratch?
It's all about the numbers.
It's
all about the numbers.
That's right, it's all about the numbers.
Tell you what to do in that scenario. I mean, just like any other property, if you buy it right, and you know, the numbers work for what you have to put into it to get the ARV that's been advertised for the area, or what you came up with from your costs, then it's a good investment.
Yep. I personally would tend to shy away just because I haven't done anything that major, but if I had Jason with me, I might be okay.
I just want to add something, just in general. Just remember, this is your investment, it's not your home.
That's right.
So don't go in there thinking that, oh, I would do this. This is an investment.
Yeah. Pardon?
I'll start with the question. Someone answer what a title insurance policy is. Way different insurance than what we talk about, obviously. Someone do it. Yes, sir.
Well, title insurance policy is check the title to make sure that owner, there's no liens against that house, because if you don't have a title insurance policy, that's ensuring that that policy is actually owned to that person, there's no liens on it. If you don't have a title policy and you go to closing, they say, oh, well, Joe Blow's got a $50,000 lien against it, then if you had a title policy, the title company would be liable for that $100,000. If you don't, that's going to come out of your pocket if you want to buy the land.
Not bad. I wouldn't say liable, but they have to indemnify the policyholder. So a lot of those things that Lenny just covered are on Schedule C of a policy. How many schedules does a title insurance policy have? 4. Bill, come on. 4, right? And what Lenny just covered are Schedule C items. Those are requirements for me to clear before I issue a policy to an owner or a lender. All right, why I started with that? Guys, what's on Schedule B?
Encumbrances? Oh,
It's an E word, both of you almost got it. It's an E word. Come on policies there are requirements for me, but there are exceptions. Guys, what does that mean? My policy's not going to cover what's on Schedule B. What kind of mistakes do I see? One of the biggest ones? Read your damn Schedule B, right? I have got people that come in that close somewhere else that said, well, I try to make a claim on my policy, but they're not defending it. Well, did you see what's on Schedule? What's the issue, number one? Is it covered? read your Schedule B. As serious as you are, as serious as the title company is about Schedule C and clearing title, all right? Because what's a standard exception that I see? One of the biggest mistakes I saw an investor make, again, didn't close with mine, but came to my table, you know, got my law firm, gets the call on the back end, hey, this happened. So investor A gets a great deal, really nice purchase, all right? Starts painting a house. Oh, right when they're done painting, they get a tag from the Historic Commission. Was there any indication that this is in a historic neighborhood? No. No street signs? No glaring signs that it's historic. But guess what? I said, let me see your title policy. Exception, not exclusion. All right? There was a simple filing about 8 years before that designated these properties on this street as historic. Once it's filed of record, everybody in this room is deemed to have constructive notice of that filing. It was listed as an exception on the policy. Guess what? It's about a $35,000 mistake. Policy didn't claim, it didn't cover it, didn't indemnify because it was an exception. Why was it a $35,000 mistake? Well, no chemist is going to come and touch that because the city said, hey, you need to remove that paint back to its original form. Tough task. Wow. Read your Schedule B. See what your policy covers and what it doesn't.
What do you see, Martin, as the biggest claim, most frequent claim on title?
I didn't see it for a long time, but you know, if you Google what does title insurance cover, one of the top things that most title companies say it covers is forged deeds. So remember I told you I was working on a project recently? So that's more rampant than I thought. All right. Forgery can come in, you know, family member settings. All right, straight criminals that forge a deed and forge a license. You know, a lot of seasoned investors in here know about that property over in Dallas. Someone killed the homeowner, posed as him. Title company never bothered to really check the ID and match the seller of the property, right? That dead man sold a house, that's a forged deed. So that's pretty rampant. Go ahead.
Did you hear the story at the real estate party the other night of the forged deed?
I don't think I heard that night, but.
So this is happening in DFW, guys, so you need to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
But somebody got paid, I can't remember exactly how the details went, but they gave a guy $1,000 to sign a new deed or something over somebody else's name, and it turns out that it was all bogus. They paid for that to happen, and the owner didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, and a lot of you guys, trust me, I know I always say dead people. I gotta go to probate court on a lot of the properties that you get because they're deceased untitled, right? All right, if we're gonna close it non-judicially via affidavit of heirship that you see a lot, those are sworn instruments. You're signing an affidavit, you're swearing in front of a notary, an officer of the state, saying these facts are true. I see instances where families aren't getting along, pretty damn common when someone passes with assets, right? And they'll say, no, there's only 3 siblings, and the 3 show up, sign a deed. Oh, guess what? There's a lawsuit on the back end because sibling number 4 that didn't get along with the other 3 has a quarter interest in that property. So there you go. What was the question? Yes.
I've heard it advertised on TV, you know, that title lock service, because you're done against that, I guess. So that's a real thing.
I don't know what title lock is. Can you tell me about that?
Well, it's supposed to notify you if any transfers take place.
Okay. Kind of like it's the same concept
like
for the credit
lifelines,
bureaus?
yeah.
Okay. No, I wasn't aware that was, that's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it might be useful.
Right, yeah. I'll look that up. Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of people haven't heard, there used to be horror stories, somebody being out of the country, like in England, France, for 2 months, they come back, somebody else is living in their house, because somebody sold their house, because it was vacant and didn't check on it, and they bought a house that wasn't owned, and they come home and there's people living in their house. And the guy who sold it's nowhere to be found.
Yeah. You guys remember, less than a decade ago, people were very, after I guess there was a seminar in Dallas, people were very, very happy with filing adverse possession affidavits. All right, it got so bad that people were squatting in houses and claiming, changing locks, right? $300,000, $400,000 houses.
And selling all the furniture. And
Yeah, it was
everything.
disgusting. The Tarrant DA, I mean, put a crack on that right away. Anyway, yeah, that happens too.
There's people out there, this has happened to me, where you'll have a house for sale, somebody else will pick up on your ad that you have a house for sale, they'll start marketing it, and the answer from them is, well, I'm out of country, if you'll send me your down payment or your deposit, I'll mail you the keys. Well, that's a red flag right there. I've had people call me that were on the receiving end of that and say, hey, you know, somebody else is offering your house for less than you're offering it, and they're, you know, thank you very much for telling me, you know, so, but yeah, there's people out there that do that stuff.
There's also a rental scam.
Yes.
Where if you got a house for sale, there are people renting your house on
Yep.
Craigslist.
Yep.
And I've had
yeah.
a couple of those pop up on houses that I was selling or financing. And the Dallas Police Department, you know, is at a bit of a loss to any of the police departments really, because it's some innocuous Craigslist ad, and the guy was pretty slick about how he was getting people to send him a deposit, and had a whole reason why.
And people do it, that's what I don't understand.
That's what I don't get. How do you fall for that?
Well, they're so desperate to find someplace to live.
Yeah, I guess.
Looks good.
I have a question. If a property that is designated as a flood zone, is FEMA or the city required to put a notice of the affected properties if it wasn't designated at first? And are they required to do a blanket notice that this is now in such flood zone A or X or whatever? Have you seen that on the Schedule B, that a property was in a designated?
Not as an exception. Because my policy doesn't really have anything to do with flood or covering damage to the property. It's strictly title and interest. So I had one recently in an A zone, almost split between A and not. I don't know what the other one was. So no, that's more of a hazard insurance question. It won't be on my policy.
It wouldn't be on the policy. Okay, they're not required to do that.
Correct, yeah. Again, just covering title and interest.
And y'all, if you see those flood surges, you think A would be good.
No.
X is
It's
good.
the worst.
X is good, A is bad.
Yeah.
Hey, by the way, folks, before I forget, I just saw somebody had to leave. We're gonna do the drawings for all the giveaway stuff from the sponsors as soon as we're done with Q&A. So if you have to go, I understand, but, and if you are leaving, there's cake out there, so we're gonna have cake in just a minute, though. Okay, another question?
Tim, no, could I add a little bit on the roofing end?
Sure.
I'm Lenny Hudgens, me and Dusty work together. A lot of people, when they go buy a house, the roofing is probably one of the biggest expenses you're gonna be out. That and foundation. And a lot of people buy houses and they do not do their due diligence and check the roof. Well, when you check the roof, somebody over here said insurance companies, a lot of them, if the roof is 10 years old, some of them is 15 years old, they will not insure the roof. You go to closing, they won't loan you the money because you can't get the house insured because it needs a new roof. And so y'all need to check that. We inspect the roof for you for free. We'll tell you, yes, it'll pass an insurance inspection. You got some nails that need to be caulked, but they'll do it. Or if it's got hail damage, we can try to claim it on the whoever owns the house's policy so you can get a new roof for free. And if not, you need to deduct $6,000 to $7,000 because it's going to cost you that to re-roof it so you can insure it. That's one of the biggest things, and I wanted to do a two that he kind of hit on, is insurance. Be sure you got an AC or RCV policy, recoverable insurance. A lot of people get the ACV because it's cheaper. They think it's cheaper, but it's only about $100 to $120 a year more, and it is available for rentals. If you got 10 rentals, if you get an ACV policy, they can deduct $4,000 to $5,000 from your roof because of the age. Then you got a $2,000 deductible, and it's a $7,000 roof, so you got $1,000 to re-roof that house. That's all you're going to get. And it'll take you 20 to 30 years to make up that $100 a year to get your deductible back. It's better to have an RCV policy, because I guarantee you, in the next 30 years, you're gonna replace that roof at least twice. And if you take a $4,000 hit and another $4,000 hit, that's gonna be a big hit. So always check your policy, because there are insurance companies out there that will give you an RCV policy on rental property.
Again, have these
Thanks, sir.
discussions with your agent so that you can come up with a plan that suits your specific situation.
Okay, next question.
I had another question related to the insurance. All right, so most, I'm telling you, but most of you are probably get a place, you're gonna flip it, and it turns into a rental. How does the insurance change with that, or you talk about getting?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the first part. When you rehab it and then change to a rental?
They go into it thinking you're gonna rehab it. All right, so first of all, should you have just builder's risk or vacant dwelling? And then you decide, oh, I'm gonna rent it. What kind of policy do you change it to?
Yeah, you would change it to a tenant occupied dwelling policy. So if you're buying a property that you're gonna rehab and it's gonna be a few months or so to rehab it, we would use either a builder's risk or a vacant dwelling policy depending on the extent of the rehab that you're doing. And then once if you decide you're gonna put a tenant in it, at that point, we would change it to a tenant-occupied dwelling. And if some companies, depending on who it is insured with, we can just change the occupancy on the existing policy. Sometimes we may just need to rewrite the policy to the tenant-occupied dwelling, but that's exactly what you would need to do. And on the builder's risk policies, something to watch out for. You generally have 60 days after the work is totally completed of coverage that will stay on that property. And on day 61, you need to do something else because they won't, cover it because it's no longer a builder's risk. It's either needs to go on a vacant policy or a tenant occupied dwelling or homeowners if you're going to live in. It just depends on the occupancy.
Okay, so,
Behind you.
I got one.
all right, one more.
Okay, sure. So I believe, okay, so Texas Secure Title is now Simplified Title?
No.
Or you did a different business?
Totally different.
Okay, well, when you were with Texas Secure Title, I always use Aria for ours. She's fantastic.
She's great.
My last deal, I used Courtney Coulter because I didn't have a choice because of the situation. Turns out down the road, my lawyer caught this. It's never happened with Texas Secure Title before, and she's no longer with the company. But when I was putting it in my Series LLC, and he was pulling all the deeds and stuff, the title company, it was a totally different company that their name was on the deed. So is that where my title insurance comes in and protects me, or what? If that happened to happen with you, how would you rectify that?
And that to me is the insurance name, so that can be corrected with a correction instrument, not even a claim on the policy. That's simpler than a claim.
Well, it said that there was a different owner of the property than the proper owner, which is
then
me.
yes, that's where you make a claim on your policy, and the underwriter would then start investigating and seeing if there's a loss that then needs to be indemnified.
But the title company could potentially fix that before you have to file a claim?
Perhaps.
I think that's where we're at.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Never happened before, and that's why, guys, you always want to have your teams in place, because I wouldn't have caught it if I didn't have a lawyer looking at that. Just
something really quick, kind of adding on that I heard, and I just want to verify with you, Martin, is let's say I buy a property, I have it insured, and 10 years down the road, maybe something comes into an issue, but the property's now appreciated a lot more. I can go and up my value of the policy, the amount insured.
The title company needs proof more than a comp.
Like
maybe
an
a
appraisal.
CMA, akin to an appraisal. I need proof that this property is now worth value Y, not X, to increase the policy.
And I can do that almost really after a claim already even comes up. I can then go in, have it appraised.
It's pretty high risk after a claim and underwriter, but that's
well,
probably
not after a claim, but when an issue comes up.
Gotcha.
To then adjust it.
The last
Same type of due diligence.
Yeah, do you have the full ones, in case there's more than one person? Do you have the tickets with both? No. Okay. Let me have that. So, okay, so, one last question for everybody, and that is, what do you offer the members? You know, what, and let's try to keep that to something less than 5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Wow. Total?
But seriously, just, you know, 1 to 2 minutes on what you can do, what is your specialty for our membership, what can you do for them to help them stay on the straight and narrow, be more profitable, be safe, do the right deals, protect them, discounted services, whatever it is, what can you do for the members? And we'll start with John.
Well, with air conditioning and heating, I mean, it's a mechanical device, but and I talked to somebody else earlier about this, there's 2 types of people that do air conditioning and heating work anywhere. There's mechanics who can fix things, and there's technicians, and they understand the science of it. And when you understand the science of it, it actually makes doing the work a lot easier and cheaper usually, because you don't have to go back and fix things that the mechanic did. Because the mechanic knows how to replace ducting, knows how to change motors, knows how to even replace entire systems, but they don't understand why they're doing it. They don't understand why size matters, airflow matters, things like that. So in my case, that's how we practice it, from the standpoint of it's a science. It's not a mechanic's job. And so for us, we have a lot. I mean, I've had customers hug me before because they were in their perfect home and they were miserable. And they were like, we need a bigger system, we need this, we need that. And no, slow down. Let's do the heat load of the house, let's figure out what's going on. System size right, but their ducting was horrible. So I remember one house, was a 2-story house, they had this huge vaulted ceiling for the baby's room, and they could never use it in the summertime because it was horribly hot in there. And we redid the ducting, and while we were doing the paperwork, they turned on the system, and they were like, did you turn on the ceiling fan? And a fan started spinning upstairs that had never spun before without them turning it on. And they were like, what? Like, there was airflow there now, and all we did was change the duct, you know. And so, I mean, I've had a lot of people hug me and crying, thank you for changing my life. Because when you live in a home, or in this case, you know, or selling homes, you also have to be comfortable, okay? And people will not like you very much if they go into a home that you know you did the AC system on, they know you did it, it's on the paperwork, and they're miserable. They're gonna remember you as, I don't like that person anymore. And so that comes from people like me though, not from you guys, because you guys don't understand that side of it generally. So that comes from people like me. So when you choose an AC company, find somebody who can understand the science part of it, okay? Whether it's me or anyone else. But if they're not, if they come out with a bag of hand tools and a simple set of gauges, and they can't do any drawings, any writings, any number, they can't show you in writing what it is they're doing, like numbers wise, and in such a way that you understand it, look to somebody else, okay?
Thanks, sir.
Well, with me, guys, you get my undivided attention, my personal time. That phone number that's on the sticker on the front of all the bags, guys, that's my cell phone number. I mean, I have an office number. In fact, I've got a Spanish line, and I mean, if you call the office, you're gonna get one of my girls, and they're gonna take your message and call me immediately. But if you call my number, you text me, guess what? If you text me at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm chance I'm awake anyways. But, and I do have investors that call me 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. That's when people like to, that's when they are up worrying about their money, their investment, and their time. And guess what? When you call me, you get me, and you always get me. You get a voicemail, then guess what? Text me, and I'm gonna call you back. For example, 2 weekends ago, I had to take a kid to Houston, and I left my crew here working with an engineer that wasn't my engineer. My mistake, my bad. But my engineer would have said at 6 inches, lift halfway, and don't cause too much stress on the home. My guys saw that they were causing quite a bit of stress. Brick was falling out, so they stopped at the halfway point. They brought what they were normal to, what my engineer would have been happy with. And guess what? The engineer came out after everything was closed up, and this is at like 7 o'clock on Saturday. Guess what? He wasn't happy. He wanted it the whole 6 inches. He didn't care what kind of damage it caused. The homeowner calls me crying. Guess what? I drove back in from Houston right then, dropped the kids at the college thing, drove back in, and guess what? Sunday, I spent my whole day Sunday. I was out there at 9:30 at night. Guess what? We were opened everything back up, no charge to the customer. This is my fault. I should have called the engineer, not my engineer, asked, hey, are you okay with this? But I didn't. So guess what the homeowner got? She got a big deduction. I only made her pay just the labor on her job because she had a tile company come in Monday and she was scared shitless. She was crying on the phone. I was out there Sunday. I mean, it was way after dark. It was cold before we finished up. And you know what? I felt horrible. She paid labor. That was it. That was my fault. I have no problem admitting if I'm ever wrong at something. And the other thing y'all get is if you have 12 peers, 12 peers or over, and I have a signed contract with you, I will pick up the price of your engineering report. You always want an engineer's report, guys. Yes, you can get away without doing an engineer's report, but guess what? It's harder to sell at home without it. So you always want it. So if I have a signed contract for more than 12 peers, then you get a free engineer's report. So with me, you get that personal touch. You can call me, and guess what? I am going to answer the phone because it's my cell phone. If I don't answer, text me, because the person that texts you back, that's going to be me.
Thank you. Oscar?
Well, like in most cases here, that we all have years experience at what we do. We also have other connections outside this group, so I'm sure everybody here could probably say the same thing in the sense that when you reach out to us or reach out and you need somebody for a specific thing or a question, I'm sure everybody here is going to say, hey, reach out to us or we can get you somebody to help you out. So I personally have 17 years experience in the mortgage world. That's my forte. But if you call me and you're asking me something about title, I know somebody over there. If you need insurance, I'll have somebody here or somebody else that I work with that's not part of this group. So my short answer to that is we're going to have a lot of people and our experience and our contacts to be able to help you to answer questions. So don't be afraid to reach out to us. That's basically my thing.
Thanks, sir. Robin?
I would just say that I'm just a phone call away or an email, and I'm just here to help you, and don't ever think you got a dumb question. And if I don't have the answer, I'll admit it, but I'll try to help you find an answer for you.
Birthday girl?
Birthday girl.
Well, one thing I used to hear all the time is don't tell me that you can't do alone. Tell me how you can do it. You know, how can we change it that you can do it? And people say that I'm very good at that. So I do the free credit report. I analyze their income versus their outgo, everything that's been happening, look at their payment history and everything. And if they just aren't paying anybody, and it's going to take 6-8 months anyway for me to work on it, I put them with a trusted company I have that's very inexpensive that guarantees their score when they're done in 6 months. But most of the time, in a couple of months, I can have them up where their score is high enough that they can get the grants at 620 score. Some of the grants are 640, and find a way that they can make it work. Even if they don't have enough income, and I say, well, who do you have that will help you buy? You know, and get a co-borrower. So I guess I'm a problem solver.
Thank you. Jason?
I think what I would maybe consider me as a tool for the beginning stages of your deal, what you're considering putting your mind to work in. Like I had said earlier, I do a lot of pre-acquisition work, so I'm not just a construction guy. I mean, I've been doing construction for over 30 years, but I'm really very involved in real estate investment. I go to several of these groups. I mentor a lot of people that are just kind of trying to get into the business through internet stuff and things like that. But like I had said, I'm going to help protect you from getting involved in a bad situation. Probably the worst thing you could do is buy a house without having a contractor go and look at it first. That way the numbers are realistic. But because I understand all the other aspects of REI, I can kind of help you make some decisions on where to put your money, what you know, what things should you do to the house. I mean, we've all been, all these vendors are great, and they've got a lot of great advice and services to offer homeowners when you're talking about long-term, and of course, with your rental portfolios, you have to manage to the maintenance aspect, so those are really important. But most of these deals, I mean, we're all here to invest and make some money quickly if possible. So, you know, you got to spend right so you can extract the most money out of the deal. And I think that's kind of what I bring to the table because, yes, roofs are very expensive. Yes, foundation is one of the really expensive things. HVAC, but really construction as a whole is a make or break on a real estate deal, period. So it's a really important piece to have up front before you sign your contract and give out your $5,000 non-refundable. Make sure that your numbers are legit going in, and I think that's.
And if anybody just wants to throw away money, just send me the check. I'll take it. Amy?
Well, we're usually after everything's closed, so if you call us ahead of time, we can definitely help with getting you on the right path, like making sure that your buyers bring an insurance policy to closing. If there's a wrap, that you let them know if they ever check back that you need that money on the insurance back to put in their escrow. So we have things to say that could help you before it closes, but usually we're behind the scenes cleaning back up. But call us ahead of time, we'll be happy to help you know what to miss so we don't have to go clean.
Ryan?
So what I offer is better return on investment. Because our loans are 100%, you can typically get into that property. I was actually looking, somebody had asked me the other day. So about 70% of the loans that I've written it was 71% of the loans I've written this year, have been at 98% or more of cost. So that means we've covered over 98% of the purchase and rehab on over 70% of our loans. So that means these people are coming in and they're putting down typically a very low amount. For a $150,000 loan, the average is about $8,000 that they're coming to the closing table with. That's including their builder's risk policy, including their title insurance policy, and then the closing costs on the loan. So if you can close a loan for $150,000 with $8,000 down, your return on investment is probably going to be pretty good. And then the other thing I offer is I'm going to help you guys look at deals when you bring them to me, because if any red flags come up that I'm able to find, we're going to present that with you right away, because we do not want to take over your bad project. If it's a bad project, we're going to tell you right away from the beginning, because we don't want to lend on bad projects. So it's also just a second safety net as you guys are looking at your projects, of having someone else that has a vested interest in it, almost kind of like a partnership, where we're not going to want you guys into a bad deal. We want you guys to succeed, so you borrow money from us again or refer us to other people.
So you should smile and take him to lunch when he tells you no. Seriously. Because if he's telling you no, there's a problem. Because he wants to lend, but he's not going to lend to you with a problem.
We have $85 million to lend. We want to lend out that money.
And the last
That's our
thing
goal,
we want is a
but
problem scenario.
yeah.
I would say the thing that we bring to the table the most is just, we're here to help you guys with anything you have, questions with insurance or anything related to insurance, whether you're a client of ours or not. Feel free to give our office a call. We know rental property really well. We know investment property really well. We have a lot of it in our book of business. We've been working with several investors in this group for quite a while, and so basically it's just when you call us, we're going to answer the phone. You're not going to get a voicemail system. You're not going to get you know, Bambi at the front desk that doesn't know anything. We're all licensed. we're all you know, we're in the trenches with you guys, you know, trying to help you guys you know, get you the best policy you can get for your insurance dollars, so that you're keeping your costs down and you get more on the back end of your deal. And so that's basically it.
Something I want to add for what she offers, which was confusing to me at first, is they use one email address at their office, Dave at insureddfw.com. And I thought that was weird because there's, you know, multiple different people working in that office. But they do that. That way, whenever you send an email, you've got 3, 4 different people checking
Somebody's
that
gonna
same
see it.
address.
Yeah.
Someone's going to check in and get back to you. I've never had to wait for a reply on any email that I've ever sent them.
Thank you. Rodney?
Real Estate IQ can provide for you the off-market leads for commercial soon and for residential now. And as a member of the West DFW REI Group, we're going to provide for you 6 months free of our analysis suite software. So you'll have your comps that you'll be able to do, your rehab estimates, and that's only so that you can know approximately what to offer, not, you still need your contractor. So don't ever think that's the end.
Stop.
Yes.
What did you just say?
6 months free.
6 months free for members of this group.
That's awesome.
You heard it here for the first time. No one's ever heard that.
That's true.
Because you're members of the group. Now, that's a gold mine. You take advantage of it. It's worthless if you don't use it.
Yeah, you need to know how to do your comps. You need to know how to estimate properly.
We're going to talk about that, those tools, next month, like I said earlier, but I just want to make sure you heard what he said, because he said it for the very first time right now. Cool or what? 6 months, guys.
I'd say what we offer the best. We're very hardworking, friendly. We'll go to bat for you. Use us as a tool to go look at all your homes and roofs. We're just good old boys, and we'll get the job taken care of done for you.
Cool.
Tim, I want to turn it around. It's the 10th anniversary party. I can sit here and talk about myself all day, but why do people like you keep coming back? Bill, Lexington.
Because of the service that we get.
There you go.
Expertise.
Thank you.
Knowledge, background. I can tell you a probate story about Martin. Remember this one?
So
2 months ago?
Yep.
The judge?
Yep.
Your attorney did this? So I was working on this probate deal for about 2 years. And I thought I had it under contract 2 years earlier, and she turned down the offer. She says, I'll take care of the title work, because there were some probate issues on the title. And she wanted to go do it herself. I said, you don't need to do that, ma'am. I have an attorney that'll take care of it. You don't have to do anything. She said, I think she thought she was going to get more money out of it doing it herself. So she come back 2 years later and said, Tim, I'm fed up with this. I thought I could do it. I can't. I'm ready to move forward. So I said, okay, I'll set you up with Martin Garcia. He'll call you. He'll ask you some questions, and then he'll tell you what we need to do. So it turns out we had one heir, right? A granddaughter that couldn't be found. She left the country. This house had been probated once before. And there was a will, I believe. Yes, there was a will. And they couldn't find this one heir. And Martin can correct me if I'm telling a story here, but I believe that's correct. So that meant that he had to have the original copy of the will. Is that right? So Martin did his research. He found the attorney that wrote the original will, which I believe had retired.
Retired, working out of his house.
But still lived here in Fort Worth. He tracked the guy down, went to his house and got this original copy of his will.
Wow.
Went to probate. The heir flew in town, went to court with him, and we closed that deal right after the probate court.
Wow.
So I think that's going above and beyond and getting deals done for you. And yeah, I appreciate that. I've told him that many times, and that's why I keep going back.
Just want to add one thing. Dusty's doing a great job up here. He's been with me for about a year. I own the company. I just want to offer one thing. We're not only good old boys. We do offer 10 to 20% less for REI members than we do if somebody just calls us off the street. We offer that to all. If you tell us you're with REI, you automatically get a discount. If you call them and tell us we can get it for less, we'll look at it and say, we'll match it, or no, we can't match it, there's something wrong with this guy's bid. And I'll take an example, Jerry Weekly, he's from DFW REI. He calls me, I said, I can't fix it for that. He had 3 skylights, one was leaking, and he said, I got another guy who can do it cheaper. I said, well, I'm telling you, he can't, but he went on ahead and did it. 2 weeks later, he said, Lenny, I've got 3 skylights leaking now. After he did the repair, can you come over and repair it? And it cost him more money because I had to go tear off everything that guy did wrong and redo it. Just call us, and we always give, we're usually on the lowest end of the spectrum. I do several guys in here's houses, and if we can't beat it, there's a reason why we can't beat that price. That's not, and Dusty's, like I say, good. He's been with me about a year, but we're family owned and operated. We've been in business for 40 years. We've been in business since 1980. And Dusty's a friend of my son's. My sons work for me. My brother back here works for me. My granddaughter is my receptionist. So, and she's not 8 years old, she's 21, so I'm an old guy. But I just wanted to throw that in there so everybody would know that.
Thanks, sir, appreciate it. So, and Dusty's done what, 3 or 4 houses for me, so these guys take good care of the members, so keep that in mind. So,
Done some for Robin, for James.
For Bill back here.
Yeah, Bill.
Yeah. So, last shot over the bow here. Is there any other burning questions that we want to ask the sponsors? I don't want to keep dragging this out. I'd like to finish up, do the drawing. We have some giveaways from all the sponsors. I want to make sure we get that done, and then we've got a lot of cake out here that has to be eaten. The doors are locked until the cake's done. So, any other questions that you want to ask of any of the sponsors down there? About anything?
Bethany, what will you charge us per pier? I know you said you can't go under anybody can't go under 200. What's your price for
If
this?
it's Tarrant County or Dallas County, with the exceptions of Farmers Branch, Carrollton, and Plano, $225 for exterior piers, $250 for interior piers. That's on a single-story home. Double-story homes start at $300. The exception of those 3 cities are because it's never ending, guys. I mean, sometimes it's 40 feet down and you're still wondering where bedrock is. So I just looked at a home in Carrollton where they were telling the guy he could put them in for $125 a pier. He's not putting concrete in the ground for $125 a pier. So except for those 3, I'll do $225 for exterior, $250 for interior, and then again, if you have over 12 piers, I'll do that engineer's report for free. I like to work with an engineer, guys. I cannot recommend you get engineers enough. I don't care what engineer you use, but get an engineer.
And I'll just say I have to put a plug in for her. I've never used her, but I've seen you at other events. I just haven't had the need to use you yet. But I live out in Azle, and there's a big group called Servolution that goes around, and they have these blitzes where they help people, widows or whatever, and they put roofs on, do foundations, do yard, whatever needs to be done, and they do stuff throughout the year. And you're one of the contractors that helps do a foundation for free.
Yes, yes. Y'all got me with that little old lady. She was a tear. She was so nice.
I gotta give you props for that. Someone that's willing to do stuff like that for free for people that have no other way.
Thank you. All right, anything else? James?
Another on piers. Is the cost different for a pier and beam versus slab?
A pier and beam, yes. Some companies charge like per pad that's going under there. They'll charge $150 for each pad that's going under there. Guess what, guys? That pad costs like maybe $13 for the actual concrete. I'm not going to charge you $150. Some people charge per square foot. Because guess what? They just look it up online, they find out how much square foot is, they know what they're going to charge you before they ever get there. I don't do that either. I need to see under a pier and beam, because why am I going to charge you $5 a square foot if you need all new treated beams, all new solid supports, all new floor joists, compared to if you just need a reshim under there. Reshim, you're going to be looking at $1,500. If you have to have it excavated, all new beams put in, all new floor joists, you could be up into the $8,000 to $14,000 range. So the charging $5 a square foot, it works out for the people that need all that stuff done. But if it's just a simple reshim that my guys are in and out in 3 or 4 hours, then I'd rather just charge you that. So I don't have a set price for pier and beam. I need to see it. And that's something else to remember. When y'all are looking at homes, I know you don't know much about foundation, but if you're buying pier and beam, go ahead and look in that crawl space. I don't have this much room for guys, because remember, guys have got to lay under there, they've got to get bottle jacks under there, and they gotta get all that wood under there with them. If they don't have this much, just go ahead and add $3,000 or $4,000, because I'm either gonna lift it, break all your plumbing, or I'm gonna have to excavate it. So keep that in mind. And then people call me and say, well, how can I tell about how many piers I need? I can tell the whole home is off every 6 foot. Just stand on the outside and go, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's gonna give you a good idea of how many, because they go every 6 foot. But people buy homes and they've got this much space underneath, and that's why it's got a foundation problem, is it rots. If you don't see this much space, just go ahead and walk away unless you've got an extra $4,000 or $5,000 on top of what you already have set aside for your foundation, because I don't have smurfs. I got guys, and after the years and tacos and burgers are getting to them, and they're getting big.
Is she full of information? Cool, thank you. So, sponsors do good for you? Okay, getting on to the exciting stuff. I know it's what you've all been waiting for, the drawing. Does everybody have a little square piece of paper with a number on it? Everybody.
No.
You don't have one? The back. Not sponsored, but the front. All right, so sponsors, if you want to grab your giveaway stuff. Yeah, it's not.
Bill don't get one.
Okay. All right, so listen up. What we're going to do is, Pam is just going to walk around. She's going to stop for somebody, or the sponsors can do it. We're going to draw one number at a time out of the jar. You have to be present to win. And then we're going to start, the first gift is going to be from Mark. And just Mark draw? Yeah, Mark draw.
I brought giveaways to gifts.
Well, giveaway, gift, whatever you prefer to call it.
16.
16.
Go.
Okay.
Right.
You don't have it?
All right, we got 4 gift cards.
Woo! 4?
All right, we got 24. 24, 14. Nine, or 6 or 9. 6. And 3. 3.
Oh, that's number 6. We're not going to. Number 3.
Number 3?
I know, that's what I'm sitting here thinking.
Did you guys say 17?
Just like 2 drawings, like
8. Did you? All right.
all right, Roger.
It's an Amazon gift card for 25, number 13.
Cool, right?
I have 10 of these $5 gift cards, and I think I just like to do 2. Sure, you want to? Do it however you like. I think we're down more prices than people. That's a good thing.
And we'll put the tax back in.
23. These are $5 gift cards to Starbucks. And 20.
Cool.
$5 gift cards to Starbucks.
All right, I got a couple $25 Lowe's gift cards for number 4. And number 10. And now also number 17.
Hey, that's you.
$25 to Lowe's.
17?
Yeah, he's making it.
Man, everybody's making out here. Everybody's so generous.
Lucky number 7.
7?
Not so lucky.
No?
7?
22.
Okay, start with number 2, which hat.
Right.
Number 2? That's okay.
Who's number 2? Some women like to wear hats. Am I supposed to say that to her? So this is the one I pulled. This is what she gave me. Does she keep it?
Oh, she can.
Okay, so I've still got your number 2 now. Okay, and another hat. And number 18.
That's fine.
Number 15. Number 15, and this is barbecue tools. She said she did this.
Oh, okay. Good deal.
And
Party at his house next week.
number 11.
Nice.
Oh, yeah, again, did I take it from you? No. Okay. I'm getting confused about the numbers.
Number 1.
Number 25. And number 19.
Boom! I told you. I told him he was going to get that fountain for his little girl. I knew it. That's great. Yes.
Good call, man. It's actually funny. That's actually really funny.
Thanks.
Number 5.
Good prediction.
We've won already, so.
Y'all each had a number though.
Yeah, we have 2 numbers.
Yes.
Well, thank you, jewelry and a Starbucks gift card.
Good call.
And number 9. Got a couple of electronic gadgets.
Not in this family, that one.
Those kinds out there.
Number 12. I figured everybody been working hard, so we got entertained for $50 to AMC.
Is that it?
No?
That's it.
No.
You still take it, huh?
Well, there's
Make this one.
27? All right, so that one was from my real estate business, Easy Property Solutions. This one's from me at the group, 21.
Hi, Karen.
Yeah, Lee. Guess what Lexi won?
What I did?
You get a 1-hour free consultation with me about taking your business to the next level. I might need to counsel you though. Okay. Man, almost everybody got something. There's not many left. No more gifts, right?
How many's left? One?
One person.
Come on, somebody get me Bill.
Sorry, Bill. It wasn't intentional.
Have another cup of coffee.
Yeah, have 2 pieces of cake.
All right.
Okay, so let me make sure I got everything. Drawings, invoice. Okay, got cake in the back. We're just about wrapping it up. Again, I want to tell everybody I appreciate you coming today. Hopefully this has been good for you. Hopefully, let's give a round of applause to the sponsors again, please. I think from what you heard up here today, you know, they're all here to help you. They want to help you. They want to protect you. They want to give you a good deal. They want to help you be more successful in this business. There's a ton of people, for those of you that haven't been around very long in the business, there's a ton of people that aren't here very long. They come and go very quickly. They come into the business thinking that it's a quick, get-rich-quick kind of thing, and they don't want to spend any time and energy and invest in their business. And part of that investing is not just with education, but investing, coming to these type of events and meeting the right people and studying the business, be a student of the business. I still go to different classes today. I've been in the business 19 years. So this business changes frequently. And of course, when you get hair of this shade, you got to use it or lose it. I'm sure you've all heard that before. So it's good to go get refreshers and come and network, and especially for the new folks here, networking and rubbing elbows with like-minded people is so important. And stop listening to the naysayers. Disband your family for a while. The ones that keep telling you, no, you can't do that. You can't buy houses with no money. People won't deed you their house. You can't buy a $100,000 house for $50,000 because it's going to happen if you learn how to do it right and stick around and be active, be in the game. It just takes time. So once you get that big check, go blow it up, and then go, we call it a shut-up check, then go show it to your family and tell them to shut up, you know? You can do it. How many people have had houses given to them in this room? Show of hands.
Land.
Land? Same thing. But, you know, there's a lot of people in this room that make a lot of money off of each of the deals they do. You just have to learn how to do it, and you have to give it time. It doesn't happen overnight. So the sponsors are a part of that. Networking with all the experience in this room is a part of that, and I would encourage you to give it time. Reach out to some of the experience in this room, whether it's me or somebody else, and get help with mentoring, coaching, joint venture partnering, whatever it takes, you know, to get those deals done. But give it time. Don't quit. And certainly don't do what a lot of you heard today, people doing the wrong thing. Don't be excited. Just because you got the lead doesn't mean it's a deal. So we can help you learn how to determine if that's a deal. But again, just you got to talk to people. Don't make the wrong decision. So everybody should have gotten a little goodie bag when they checked in today, right? Anybody did not get one of the colored bags? In there is some goodies for the visitors and non-members. You've got a couple little things in there, but for the paid members, you should have received a shirt. You like the shirts, by the way?
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the video, but I think it's going to become a collector's item, right? 10 times.
Put it on your pillow, Tim.
But anyhow, so I hope you like the shirts. I thought it was a pretty cool idea. Just another thank you for the members for being a member of the group. We appreciate you. And the sponsors as well, all the sponsors' names that supported the shirt are on the back. All the paid members also got a book in their bag. Okay? For those of you that don't know, Ron LeGrand, he's kind of my hero and the starting point that got me in the business. He is very well known in the industry. It's a good book. The CD is very good. You should have all gotten the CD. And it will help you understand the business and help you in your, get going in your business. Ron just happens to be teaching a class I found out the other day in Houston on the 13th to the 16th of November. You'll see that pop up on your calendar for the investor group. I'll get it put on there. I just found out yesterday. So for those of you that are interested, you can click on there and register. And if you'd like to go to his event, he is probably one of the bigger gurus in the country on all aspects of the real estate investing business. Okay? So watch for the calendar event on that. So the other thing I want to mention is the upcoming events next month, as I mentioned earlier. We're going to be doing the tools of the trade kind of topic, and we're going to walk through various tools that we use in our business that I think you should consider using in your business as well. We're also, December is also the Toys for Tots drive that the Marine Corps does. We would ask you to bring a toy, and we're going to go and collect all those and turn them in at the event. Any toys you bring must be unopened. But big or small, whatever you have, just bring a toy, and we'll help the needy kids. We'll get them turned in. Then January, where's Amy? Amy's going to be talking to us about how to get the most out of your owner finance notes. So you won't want to miss that. Get RSVP'd as quick as possible on the calendar for that. February, I do not have a topic yet. If somebody has a topic, I'd like to hear it. We want to get, one thing about this group is that we try and teach things that you want to hear and need to hear to help you in your business. So if anybody does have something that's they'd love to hear, come see me, email me, whatever it takes, but give me a topic and we'll see what we can do for February. March, we're going to be doing, it's not on the calendar yet, it's still in work, but I think equity trust, not equity trust, Anderson Law Group. They're going to come talk to us about tax strategies. I think, I haven't got this firmed up yet. They're going to talk about tax strategies. That's one thing that we haven't had in the group is a CPA. That's real estate investment experience, and we're trying to fix that, and hopefully this class in March is going to help us with that. Tax strategies is a big part of buying and selling houses and making your business more profitable. So I believe that's going to be happening in March. So I may have it mixed up. That's what I get for talking off the top of my head and not having my computer open. March or April, I may have this flip-flop. The Ioannidis are coming back. They're going to be talking to us about some creative deal structuring programs. That's either March or April, and then Anderson Law Group's the other one. So I can't, you'll see it show up on the calendar. I don't have it firmed up yet. But watch for those and get RSVP'd as soon as possible for those. For those of you that are non-members and would like to take advantage of the membership today, we're offering a what we call an action taker discount today. So, and if you want the t-shirt, then become a member. You get $25 off your discount. We've already given you a ton of stuff today, but you get $25 off your membership to sign up. You'll get not only the t-shirt, but you'll get the Ron LeGrand book as well if you join as a member today. So if you have questions about that, we didn't get to go through the website today and show you the membership. and benefits and stuff. I'm happy to do that afterwards if you're interested, or you can just go see Michelle in the back and she'll help you get signed up so that you get the shirt. We may have to order some more special sizes for those if we ran out, but we'll get those ordered and we'll get you a shirt that we owe you one. So, cake is in the back. Again, there's no need to rush out today. Go have cake, coffee, water, and network some more. And I think that's all I have. Again, I thank you for coming. I hope it was worth the time, and we appreciate the numbers.